French-Cypriot concert pianist Cyprien Katsaris has had a highly successful career playing with all the major orchestras and conductors around the world. He won the International Cifra competition and was a prize winner at the 1972 Queen Elizabeth competition in Belgium. And I'm so excited that he's joining me for a classical conversation here today at the French Institute in South Kensington in London after a concert he's been playing for the It's All About Piano Festival. Well, welcome, Cyprien. And
thank you very much.
Congratulations on such a beautiful concert this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'd like to start by asking you a little bit about your musical education. How old were you when you started, and what was the kind of catalyst? And do you come from a musical family?
Music lovers. My family emigrated from Cyprus in the late 40s to French Cameroon. It was a French colony.
Yes,
in Africa.
that's right.
And they were among the few people who used to listen to classical music LPs. And I remember very clearly the Pastoral Symphony, some Wagner, the Slavic March of Tchaikovsky, the Emperor Concerto by Horowitz, Sinfonia Concertante of Mozart. And my mother, who is not used to lies, claims that when I was 5 or 6 months ago, as a baby, I was trying to sing La Raspa, this Mexican song, you know, pa-pom, 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 pa-pom. Yeah. So I don't know how it sounded, maybe, you know, and she wanted, when she was pregnant, she wanted to have a son who would become a conductor. However, when I was 4 years old, I suddenly decided that I wanted to become a traffic regulation policeman. She was very upset.
I should think so.
Oh yes, and her best girlfriend, Christina, told her, don't worry, the conductor and the traffic regulation policeman are doing the same movements, you know, so it's the same thing. Anyway, when I was 3.5, I started playing the piano. I remember very clearly that my parents bought an upright piano for my sister. And I remember very clearly when the Cameroonese people brought it in our living room in the house. And I felt attracted by the instrument like a magnet and trying to play with one finger. So then they put me with my first piano teacher, who was a very beautiful French lady. I was very small and she was tall for me, blonde, good looking. And I remember the very first lesson, Melanie, when I was 4 years old. She asked me to put my fingers, my hands on some paper and to draw with colors like this in order to get aware of my finger, right, yes, on the paper. I remember very clearly this incident. Then we moved to Paris in 1959. I was born in 1951. So we moved to Paris, and then I had some local piano teachers until I moved in the Conservatoire, the French, the Paris National Conservatory, in '65, in the class of Aline van Barensen. Aline van Barensen, who is now forgotten, although I'm very happy I found out recently that some people have posted some of her recordings on YouTube. She was a great pianist. She was, I think she was Dutch-American origin, and it seems that still until today, she broke the record of having been the youngest pianist ever who graduated with the Premier Prix, the first prize of the Conservatoire, only when she was 11 years old.
Gosh.
And I remember her telling me that when she passed the exam, her mother threatened her to murder her. She says, and I was so afraid that my mother murdered me kills me if I don't get the first prize, that I tried my best and I got it. You know?
So do you think she was the most influential teacher on your development?
Well, all of them have some influence. You know, she had an incredible assistant who was a pupil of Yves Natte, Mademoiselle Brousse. And then when she resigned, my next professor was Monique de la Brucholerie. Monique de la Brucholerie was a great pianist also, a great style. The first time I played for her, I played Tchaikovsky #1 concerto, and she said, okay, next week you have to bring the Fantasie Chromatique and Fugue of Bach, Sonata Opus 110 of Beethoven, number 31, and the Rachmaninoff Paganini Rhapsody in 1 week.
So you had to work
Yes.
very hard.
She was quite tough. She was an incredible professor. We had to practice every day about 40 minutes non-stop scales in all keys, from slow to fast, and when you get tired you don't stop, you just slow down. And about half an hour of octaves, same, non-stop.
That's interesting, yeah.
And I practiced with her Rag 3, Rachmaninoff #3 piano concerto, Brahms second, and she was telling me about her concerts when she used to play those pieces. Why I said when she used to play those pieces? Because in 64 or 63, I think 64, she had this horrible accident, car accident between Romania and Yugoslavia. She lost one eye, she couldn't walk normally, she couldn't use her hands anymore. At the peak of her career, and then she became a professor at the Conservatoire, and then she died in December 72 because of a cancer. But the incredible thing is that she was telling me about Rag 3, for example, that she played it so many times. And guess what? About 4 or 5 years ago, her daughter finally got a copy of a concert she played in the US at Carnegie Hall, New York, in 51, the year of my birth, with Rachmaninoff #3. I think it was Ernest Ansermet conducting the Boston, I think, Boston Symphony. I could not believe what I heard. She was not lying. Tell me the name of one single female pianist who used to play Rachmaninoff #3 piano concerto, you know how hard it is, in 51.
Not many.
Well, I don't know anyone.
No.
I mean, even male pianists, only Horowitz, Gilens, Emil Gilens, Van Cliburn at the Tchaikovsky competition in 58. And then female pianists started playing Rachmaninoff #3 later in the 60s or 70s. And when you listen to this performance, you have the impression to hear some kind of female Horowitz. Try to get her published recording, which has the Toccata of Saint-Saëns, which is a solo version of the last movement of the #5 piano concerto. It's unbelievable. It's beyond belief. But you can find some records of her. So she was very influential. She used to say you have to be very well prepared. And when you go on stage, forget the whole preparation, play with your heart, give to the audience everything. Don't think of mistakes or memory problems. And she wanted all of us to copy her fingerings without being forced to use them.
That's interesting, yeah.
You know?
Yes.
She had some quite amazing fingerings. Very interesting. Of course, each hand is different. You know, when I give some master classes, like a few days ago again in Japan, the first thing which I tell students is search for the right fingering.
It's so important, isn't it?
It is so important.
It makes such a difference, yeah.
Right. Because we are, all of us, all pianists, we are impatient, we want to play the piece. And I keep telling them, you cannot build the third floor of a building without starting with the basement.
That's so true.
So search the right fingering. Never go against the natural need of your hand. Because we always learn at the beginning when we learn piano that we should not move the hand. But when you go into more difficult things, if your hand needs to move like this or like that or whatever, let it go, you know? I mean, never violate the natural needs for movements of your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you know, I think that the real pianist finds things by herself or by himself.
They do, yeah.
I don't believe so much in, excuse me to say, in piano teaching, because I found out that there is a lot of crookery. People get their money, they give a lesson, and they don't know how to help a student. So when I have a masterclass, I always ask for 2 pianos, and if there is a technical problem, I tell the student, I promise to you that we will handle it right now. And I will show you how to practice it. It might take a few minutes, a few seconds, it might take half an hour, but we will handle it. And if we have only 1 hour, I would rather use the necessary time to handle one thing and then a second thing and show the student how to practice, because the quality of practicing, as you know, is much more important than the quantity of practicing,
Yes.
right? You say that yourself.
Definitely.
So it's very important to help them practicing step by step.
Yeah, it's true. How do you think your competition, your prize wins, have shaped and changed your career, do you think? How important do you think they were?
Very good question, Melanie. Who likes competitions? I hate them. My God. I mean, why music should go into this category of sport?
Yes.
And you know, there's so many first prizes who disappeared and non-first prizes who made it.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, yes, indeed, the Cifra competition in Versailles, 74, got me my first record with EMI France, which was Schubert. He wanted me to record Alcan. I am not very fond of Alcan, except a few pieces. And I told him, why don't you record Alcan? He never played Alcan himself. George Cifra, what a great man, by the way. And I wanted to do Schubert. So I did the 3 Klavierstück and several dances. And the second recording for EMI France was the complete dances of Scriabin. So the competition, the first prize, held for that.
Yes.
Not really for concerts. I don't believe that competitions really help for concerts, except some competitions which already have contracts with presenters. I think Cleveland, when you win the first prize in Cleveland, you get 50 concerts in the US, which is great.
That's good, yeah.
No?
Okay.
Like my friend Alexander Gindin, who won it and got something like 54 concerts within 1 or 2 years in the US. The Queen Elizabeth competition of Belgium in 72, I was the only Western Prize winner. By the way, we're going to release in a few months my finals of that competition, which is Rachmaninoff number 3. It was the first time I ever played it. You can imagine the
First time in a
stress.
competition, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's
Imagine the
brave.
stress, the tension in the Palais des Beaux-Arts of Brussels, sold out, live on radio, live on TV, thank you, horrible, and a jury with Emil Gilels, Leon Fleischer, Alexander Brailovsky, Annie Fischer, and so on and so on.
No
Terrible.
pressure.
And you have to play also a concerto written by a Belgian composer, especially for the competition, which you have to learn within 1 week. Did you know that?
Yes, I did actually, yes. That's...
My goodness. So anyway, this Belgian competition, yes, I got my very first LPs made in Belgium. I got a few concerts in Belgium, but that was all.
Really?
It's a great competition, but once again, competitions are not a guarantee for a career.
Well, that was my next question. Do you think they can still establish a pianist today? Because
No.
there's so many of them.
Yes.
As we said, you know, is
Yes.
it even worth it?
I don't think so. The only good thing with competitions, Melanie, is that young pianists get used to play in the worst conditions.
Yes.
Playing in front of one person is difficult. Playing in front of 2,000 people is difficult. Playing in front of an audience, plus a jury, which is not always nice. I have been in juries. I hate myself when I'm in a jury. I try to avoid it. I was in the jury of the Chopin competition in Warsaw in '90, because in '85, when I was contracted by Teldec, one of my CDs with the 4 ballades and 4 scherzi of Chopin won the Grand Prix du Disque Chopin in Warsaw in '85, which they established this prize for the first time, the Chopin Society. And they received records from all over the world, Chopin records, and the jury, which was headed by Krzysztof Penderecki, the composer, didn't know who was playing. They listened to those recordings anonymously. Then they gave the prize for the solo section, chamber music section, and with orchestra, concertos. So I got the prize for the solo section with the 4 ballad and 4 scherzi, and that's maybe why they invited me to be in the jury in '90. But I didn't want to go back. They asked me again for '95 and 2000, but I cannot stay there for 10 days listening all day Chopin playing. And you know, we're not supposed to exchange opinions between the members of the jury. However, some reactions, sometimes in international competition juries, to me are very strange. I'm a totally independent person. I am not a piano professor. And sometimes I have the feeling that some jury members in some competitions are trying to favor the pupils of a friend who is also a piano professor. So in exchange, you know.
It's inevitable, isn't it, that kind of thing? Yeah.
Anyway.
So moving on, which composers do you really love to play?
Oh,
do you really
that's
enjoy?
my problem. I love them all. I love them all. I mean, how can you choose between a beautiful dark-haired lady and a blonde lady? How can you choose between Chopin and Bach? Between Prokofiev and Ravel? It's impossible. It's impossible, you know. I love them all, but I do not like anymore contemporary music. I did play some Boulez, Webern, Anton Webern, the variations, and some other stuff, but there is so much rubbish, excuse me, let's face it, I mean, come on. You have 3 basic rules in music: melody, harmony, rhythm. If you violate one, it's okay. If you violate 2, things become serious. And if you violate all 3 of them, then, I mean, no. There is too much rubbish on the name of doing something new. Well, music is on 4 or 5 centuries, you know, the kind of music we enjoy, we play. This development was during that period of history. Why always on the name of doing something new, we have to go too far?
Yes,
you know,
always pushing the boundaries.
However, I have to admit that the few times I played this so-called contemporary music, I look at it differently. I enjoy it when I play it. But I can understand very easily that when you listen to it, you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I played Boulez, the scherzo of the 2nd sonata in the Paris Conservatoire, when was that now, 70 maybe, or 69. I enjoyed it because I can see colors, all kind of dancing, shaping, you know, shaped forms, sculpture, architecture. I see all the arts when I play music. And each key has a color. The C is red or white. The D is blue. The F, for example, is green.
Yes, that's amazing. I read that.
You know, it's in F. The pastoral symphony is in F. So when I play, I try to put emotion, and you need more emotion in that kind of music to make it more accessible to the audience. The greatest compliment I ever got after a performance, Melanie, was when I played this Boulez piece in the Conservatoire. A lady from the audience came and said, I never expected that I would like that kind of music. Tonight it's the first time that I felt something nice about this music of Boulez. And I had a headache before the performance and my headache went away. That was a real compliment. What does that mean? What does that mean, Madam? The sound is just a physical vehicle, right? Which transports your emotion. You cannot lie in music. You cannot lie in music. Okay? Either you are sincere, whether you are right or wrong, that's another discussion. You play a piece, 10 different people will have 10 different opinions. They will criticize you, they will say bad things, good things. I don't care what people say. The important thing is to be sincere. And in the same way, when I'm in a jury, if a young pianist plays in a different way, but with conviction, if I feel convinced, then I vote for him or her, even if it's a different way of playing looking at the music. So if you are sincere in your emotions and you feel them very strongly and deeply inside, then you will communicate it to the audience. The communication factor in art, generally speaking, and in music, is much more important than the technical aspect.
Yes.
Very important. So, by the way, the great American philosopher L. Ron Hubbard said that art is a word which summarizes the quality of communication. It's the highest level of communication. So if I play some mistakes or if I have some memory problems of a brain stroke, as it happened, it was so funny, in Berlin, October 1st.
I heard about this, yeah.
Sold out house. The concert was organized by the Cyprus embassy, because Cyprus had the presidency of the European Union, and it was on the day of the founding of the Republic of Cyprus, October 1st. 5 minutes before the end of the concert, I was playing my solo transcription of the Concerto of 2, and suddenly everything disappeared. It was very strange.
Goodness.
I'm never sick, Then they took me to the hospital, and in the ambulance, that lady doctor, gave me an injection right before I was in the ambulance. But I was very serene because I believe in the power of mind. I was extremely serene, and I adopted a very special attitude, without worrying, without fear. And everybody was panicked around me. They came on stage, the ambassador, all these people, very nice people. And then this lady from the ambulance injected the product in the organism. And in the ambulance, I was looking at her and I said, "You're so beautiful. Where are you from?" And she was, "Oh, that's the guy." Second time, "Where are you from? You're very pretty." She says, "I'm half Russian, half Sudanese." Strange combination.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, the next morning, they took me into the largest hospital of Germany in Berlin. Fantastic hospital, wonderful care. All night, no feeling, on the left side. So, at about 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I started moving my fingers. The doctors could not believe it, because I was supposed either to die, either to remain paralyzed for life, or maybe recover later on. Then I asked them to find a piano. They finally found a piano after 2-3 days, because the lecture room, which had a piano, was busy. And I went there and I started playing immediately with my left hand, some difficult things. And there were 6-7 doctors sitting on my left side. They were looking at each other, wondering how it's that possible. And they asked me to film, to shoot, with the iPhone, so they could show it to other doctors. Why I mention this? Because whatever happens in your life, never allow yourself or anybody else to put you down and to contribute to make you feel worse and worse and worse.
Definitely.
Very important.
Yeah, that is important. Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Good.
I want to ask you about your record label, Piano 21.
Yes.
What was the inspiration behind this?
Well, I have recorded a lot for some of the major labels, like Teldec, EMI, of course, Sony Classical. There's even one or two things with Deutsche Grammophon. You know, in '78, by the way, we played at the Royal Festival Hall, at the English Bach Festival, Les Noces of Stravinsky, Martha Argerich, Christian Zimmermann, Cyprien, and Omero Frances, the four pianists,
Fantastic lineup.
conducted by Leonard Bernstein.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Deutsche Grammophon CD, and there was a BBC TV production. And something funny, about 1 year later maybe, I played for the first time the Emperor Concerto at Oxford,
Mm-hmm.
with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, conducted by a young conductor called Simon Rattle. And guess what? It was his first ever performance with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. Then he got the post.
Wow.
Yes. So, with record companies, I always had a very good relationship, but sometimes freedom of choice is a little bit difficult, which one has to understand, because if they have several pianists, you know. So I decided to found my own label in order to be totally free of my decisions, and I called it Piano 21 because I founded it in January 2001, at the very beginning of the 21st century.
Wow.
That's all. And we try always to keep a balance between the famous repertoire. For example, we have a series of all Mozart piano concertos recorded in Salzburg with the Salzburger Kammerphilharmonie, conducted by the young Korean conductor Yoon Kook Lee, who is a professor at the Mozarteum. We also have some Chopin, some Schumann, concerto live in Tokyo with the Japan Philharmonic Orchestra.
A lot of live.
Yes,
That's
live
great.
performance. Quite a lot of live. Because I'm trying to issue also archives. Sometimes the sound might not be so good if it's a private recording somewhere 40 years ago. But if the performance is worth, we do issue it. And I'm trying to keep a balance with rare repertoire.
Because you do quite a bit of this, don't you? You enjoy playing.
Oh yes. For example, we have a CD with the best of Sergei Bartkiewicz. Sergei Bartkiewicz was a great Russian composer who emigrated during the Bolshevik Revolution. He died, I think, in Vienna in 1952. His music is typical Russian. You might have some similarities with Scriabin or Rachmaninoff, you know, but Mozart and Haydn also had similarities. And I was shocked when I heard several years ago this first piano concerto, this wonderful recording made by Hyperion. Hyperion is my favorite label. Mike Spring, I mean, they have great ideas. This complete list recordings, Leslie Howard, and all those wonderful records by Stephen Hoff and Marc-Andre Hamelin and all those leader series. You know, I just love these policies that they have. And it's thanks to them that I found out about Bortkiewicz, because in the Romantic Piano Series concertos, they recorded the #1 concerto of Bortkiewicz, which was a real shock for me, a revelation. And then I decided to do a solo recording of Bortkiewicz. And we have some other rarities also, like this piece I played tonight by Théodore Latour,
Yes.
this French pianist who used to live in London,
Right.
and who was the who was appointed the official pianist of the Prince Regent George, who was to become King George IV. I have some of these British rarities piano scores, and I recorded it on an album, on a CD called Album d'un voyageur, which is, by the way, a title by Franz Liszt. It was the first title of the early version of Année de pèlerinage.
Okay.
Album d'un voyageur. And on this CD you also have some music from Iceland and some unexpected countries.
Gosh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm flying to Germany to make a new CD of rare Soviet music.
Gosh. And so which composers are you?
Well, there are known in West.
Right.
Dunajewski, who knows Dunajewski, who knows Eshpai, who knows Kolker. But we also found an incredible piece by Khachaturian. It's a piano solo transcription of an orchestral work called Song for Stalin. Song for Stalin. Imagine. It's a beautiful piece.
What does playing the piano mean to you?
I always say that music is my wife and the piano's my mistresses, my girlfriends. I think the relationship between the piano and the pianist is a highly spiritual and physical at the same time relationship. You fight sometimes, you make love with the piano. It's everything from life can be expressed through music, not just beauty. And that's why maybe I disagree a little bit with the end of his life. You know, Karajan was always trying to get a beautiful sound. Of course, music is aesthetics, of course you have to, but you know, life is not always beautiful. If you are distressed, then you have to express distress. If Beethoven writes an accent of revolt, you are not trying to play a beautiful sound. You know, when you do, you know, you're not trying to do, you know, because it's a revolt sound. It's a revolt, anger, all the emotions of the human, I would say, scale of emotions have to be expressed through music. And we have a responsibility, you as a pianist, me as a pianist, all artists, we have a responsibility into society, you know, the same way like the medical doctor is going to relieve your organism by injecting a product in your organism. During 1 or 2 hours of a concert, or when people listen to a recording, if we contribute to help them to feel better, to forget their daily upsets and worries during those few minutes, and if all together we succeed to go at higher spiritual levels, then we have succeeded something in this crazy society.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Cyprien.
Thank you, my dear.